Hey beer tubers, it's Ryan back with another episode of San Diego Beer Vlog. Thanks for joining me once again. Today we're going to look at another sour beer. It's summertime, love sour beers. This one's a pretty interesting one in the fact that it is from Norway, and this is the first Norwegian beer that I'm going to review on my channel. And that is from the, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it's Haandbryggeriet in Norwegian, or Haandbryggeriet, something like that. And this is the Haandbakk. I just try to watch Peter's video, The Master Hoppets, so I can try to figure out the pronunciation on this beer. But he's the only one other person on YouTube that's reviewed it, except he had an older vintage than mine. What's nice is on the back of the back label there, they have some brewing information, which is or bottling information. So this is a vintage from 2009, and they bottled it the 10th of February 2011. So it's a fresher batch than what Peter did. It's also 8% beer. So it's essentially kind of like an Imperial Flanders red or Flemish red, brown, whatever kind of ale, but 8% sour beer. You know, something like maybe reminds me something like what Russian River would do. Now, I don't know what vintage I tried, but I did have this at Stone Sour Festival earlier this year, so I've tried a little taster of it before. But pretty expensive bottle. I think it's like 10-ish bucks for a 500 milliliter, something like that, maybe even a little more. But color-wise, pretty hazy. Yeah, it's pretty red, kind of brown tinges. Slight like dark burnt orange, kind of mixed in with some red and like mahogany colors. So pretty much no head. It's 8% sour beer, so there's a lot of acidity to it, so I don't expect much of a head. Just a thin little lacing to kind of let you know it's carbonated. What's on there is sort of a light brown. Not a whole lot of carbonation coming up, so let's get the aroma on it. Yeah, it's what you'd expect from a Flemish style beer. It smells really good. Kind of reminds me of a touch of Lost Abbey Red Poppy. Kind of has that similar nose, except Red Poppy's not as big as this. 8%, yeah, big red wine notes. Some slight red wine vinegar notes as well. So you got kind of the wine element and then like a wine vinegar. Not too tart. Touch of funkiness, touch of alcohol in the nose. You know, it does remind me of Rodenbach Grand Cru, except a little sweeter, less appley. Appley, that's not really a word, but yeah, like Rodenbach has more of an apple, like a sour green kind of apple nose to it. This one's a little sweeter, maybe a touch of caramel notes, but yeah, it's it's a bigger kind of. The base beers are usually like English style brown ales, so this is like an Imperial English style brown ale, so to speak, at 8%. But let's give it a try. Cheers. Ooh, yeah, nice and tart up front. Good amount of tartness. The back end's really interesting, getting a good malt character, almost a bit of like a chocolate note on the back end, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, it's pretty mouth puckering up top. I mean, Peter was drinking an older bottle, so some of that sourness probably faded a little bit from what he was drinking, but yeah, this is pretty tart. It's so far I'm liking it quite a bit. I don't know, it's kind of, I mean, in my first sip, I'm liking it, nearly as much as Rodenbach Grand Cru. Up front, you get a good amount of sourness. I do get a little bit of alcohol. Then, you kind of get that mouth puckering sort of vinegary sourness, kind of mixed with a good amount of oak. The oak's definitely showing up on the taste. And then the back end kind of has this caramelly chocolate note that kind of reminds me a touch of Lost Abbey's Cuvée de Tommy. Kind of has that sort of barrel, that doesn't have quite the bourbon note on it, but it does have a good barrel characteristic on it, and some kind of malt sweetness and complexity on the back end. Finish is really clean and dry though. I really like that. So far, I'm really enjoying this one. I'm going to let it warm up just a touch and get back with some more tasting notes. Okay, sipping a little more on Haandbakk. Forgot to mention, maybe you saw it on the label though, it is aged in wine barrels, so very, very big wine notes on this. I get the just the the red grape, but then within the red grape you kind of get like a big berry note, like maybe a raspberry sort of blackberry-ish kind of mixture, kind of that really intense dark berry. There's some tartness, going on from all the bacteria and stuff in there, so you get that kind of mixture. Works really well. Still getting a little bit of caramel and little hints of chocolate on the back end. Really enjoy that. Good oak presence in there as well. This is a really, really well done beer. I'm glad that they're doing, they're aging these bottles. Or they're aging these beers for a couple years. And this bottle is from February, so it's got a little bit more age on it. It is a bit pricey, but if you're into sours, especially Flemish Reds, Flanders Reds, whatever you want to call it, or Browns, Oud Bruins, that kind of beer, you're going to really enjoy this one. I'm going to give it an A. I think it's excellent. Peter gave it a 92 out of 100. I can definitely see that. It's got a good amount of tartness. It's complex flavors on the back end, other than just that really sharp sourness up front. And yeah, it's up there with Rodenbach Grand Cru and Duchess de Bourgogne. It's just maybe a little more tense since it is a bigger beer at 8%. You do get a touch of alcohol, but nothing to completely distract you. Recommend picking it up. Another shot of the label there for Haandbakk from, as it's translated, the Haandbryggeriet from Norway. So yeah, I need to try more of their beers. I see a lot of their stuff that really interests me, especially some of their darker beers, their stouts. Need to check those out. They're a bit pricey, but if they're as good a quality as this one, then they should be worth it. So that's going to wrap up this review. Until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.